there was no cover on the open beach. Because of our machine gun fire, the bodies soon started piling up.
Just up the beach, British Royal Navy boat captain Jimmy Green was about to deliver his contingent of 32 American troops to the beach.
When they got on the beach, instead of dashing up the beach, as I thought they might, they lay down on a sort of rise in a firing line. Some 250 to 300 yards to go before they reached the Germans at that range. And there was only one winner for that. They didn't have a chance. They were wiped out within minutes, I believe. When you feel that you've taken those people to their death, it's a difficult thing to live with. I can still see their faces sometimes, those young lads.
We weren't shooting at human beings. For me, they were just the enemy. Had there been fewer of them, we might have seen the individual person. But there were just so many that came charging towards us.
There were dead people everywhere. They're floating in the water. The tides are turning them over. They're lying sideways like logs, rolling with the tide.
On Sword Beach, the German defenders were in for a shock. One of Straussler's DD tanks were appearing as if by magic from the surf, ready to support the infantry.
I could see quite well. I could see all the houses burning, and then as we came up the beach with supporting the infantry, you could see them dropping down in the shell, and there was shelling going on. Because you're a bit cut off in a tank, you don't hear what's going on. You see the infantry lads dropping, and you realise shells are exploding. You can't hear them unless one hits you, of course. Then you hear it. But then we came to this line of beach articles, and on top of each one was a mine. And there was just about enough room to get a Sherman through. But Ron Hepper, the commander, he had to keep his head out of the turret, otherwise he couldn't guide us. So he guided us through these, and he was saying, left Aussie, right Aussie, left Aussie. As we went past, a level with Ron's head, you know, so if we'd have nudged one, he'd have got the lot.
Inland, the American paratroopers were still scattered through enemy country. As they fought their way towards the vital routes leading off the beaches, their chaotic advance was having a surprising effect. It was confusing the Germans.
And I saw a German, so I just, without all the things that I had, was coming up very slowly up on Hundley, which started, working on me. That I was going to have to kill a man. This man just popped out, and I raised up and fired, and he went down. Well, after the first one, it wasn't too bad, because another one came out from behind her, and he stopped right where this other one fell. So I took a careful bead on him, took the slack out of the trigger, and touched it off, and he went down. And you almost think, like when you might have the same reaction when you kill your first deer. You say, I got one. That's about all there was to it. And then when I shot the second, I got two. And so you go from there.
remember several that I probably killed. I hate to admit it, it's exhilarating, because you're not the one that's dead. Of course it's exhilarating. It's combat. Yeah. No. There's no sorrow.
I learned a little trick in that I never, from that day on, I never killed another man. I killed uniforms. If I'm here and I see figures coming toward me, and I even lay on the ground if I have to so I can look up and silhouette their heads against the lighter sky. If they had round helmets, they were friends. If they had square helmets, I killed them.
On Juno Beach, in the British sector, Hobart's funnies were ready to get to work. 3 flail tanks, the mechanical minesweepers, were heading for a ramp that led up to a minefield at the back of the beach. But blocking their way was a solid steel barricade.
Up at the top of the ramp, there are a couple of steel gates called Element C, represented by those CD cases there. So I have to aim the gun through the barrel at each joint. When you're looking through a 75mm hole, it looks extraordinarily large when there's likelihood of stuff coming the other way. So we load, fire, and so on at all the different joints. Having reduced it to a lot of tangled metal, I climbed out of the turret, picked up the cable and attach it to the debris up here that we'd wrecked, and then reverse the tank, dragging it out into the sea out of the way. And then that left the way clear for the other 2 tanks to come up and start flailing up here.
Months of development under Percy Hobart had paid off. His flail tanks were living up to their promise and clearing the beaches of mines. On Omaha Beach, Harley Reynolds had not even fired a round. There was no point. The Germans were not in range of his rifle. However, American infantry were being gunned down by the 100.
I know that several bullets hit the steel tetrahedral that I was trying to hide behind, because they made a splat when they hit the steel. And one bullet came through, and I'm hunkered down here, and that bullet came through here, and it came between the legs and hit the ground, and that's when I said, it's time to get out of here, you know. I'm making my dash through here, and I'm down in a stance and moving as fast as I can so that I keep low so I don't get hit, and I'm looking ahead all the time. I spot this shingle up here and all these men, and I'm running through here, and I go right on through until I get to the shingles, and then when I go down, I remember that bullets are flying around you like crazy. And when I get to the shingles, and I get up here and I go down, you're falling halfway on top of someone, and you have to do this to get deep into the rock that formed the shingles.
But even there, the landing troops were not as safe as they hoped. They were right in the range of our mortars. We had 2 mortars here.
You would bury yourself if possible, but you just snuggle in and get as low as you can.